Okay, welcome back guys. So this video will be a very short video and maybe a very informative video, right? Because in this video we will discuss variable types because in last class we have seen that what variable is, how we can use the variables in OpenTofu and we can call those in our main .tf file, right? So we have seen how we can define our environment variable. We can define in the like random.tf var file and the command prompt like with the variable directly you can pass it with the dash var flag and var file as well you can pass it, right? But there is another file called .auto.tf4, right, which is generally basically you can give any name but it will be like evaluated in the alphabetical order, right? So just to test, what I have done is I have created one bin.auto.tf4s, right? And I have put some commands there and I have just created this, right? So let's quickly apply and let's see. So here you can see that there is a file already created with this IAM from auto file, right? And it is getting created with the IAM.file dot because the content I just slightly changed, right? And I would say, okay, go ahead and change it and it is applied, right? So the file was uh, variable file, right? So here you can see variable file IAM auto file. So it is created, right? But apart from that, we have these types we have discussed, right? Like the string, number, boolean, list, and map, right? So let's take an example of list first, right? So what I will do is in the main file, I am gonna create a another resource called resource, and this resource I am creating for the random string, or maybe I have created in the main file multi-provide, right? Let's copy this and instead of giving this hard code value, we will pass it via our list variables, right? So as of now, I'm not changing anything here, but what I will do is let's define this masters maybe as a list, right? So I will go to the variable and here what I will do is I will just start the variable block and I am gonna define as a prefix, right? Because this is something that, or maybe let's say title, right? Because prefix is already used, so we don't get confused, right? So I'm starting this and then I will just pass some default value. Before that, let's define the type of that particular variable. So I am just giving as a type and the default value, I'm gonna put it in square bracket. Let's say master, okay, the first value. Then let's say Mr. and the third value Mrs. Right? Let's take one more Sir. Okay. So I have defined this title as a list variable, right? Let's come back to our this. So instead of putting it here, right, what I will do is I will just create the same way, right? Var dot title and which title you want to call, right? Because here we need to pass the indexing value of, right? So here we have that four indexing values starting from 0, 1, 2, and 3, right? Let's say I'm passing 1. So I just simply define the 1, right? Let's try to run it. Tofu apply. Okay, it is saying random pat my favorite because this is something that was already declared, right? Because I just copy pasted this content from the main file. So remember, I have discussed that this is a unique logical name in should be defined in your because in TF backup or TF state command, right? It is just referring. Okay, this was already defined somewhere. That is why it is right. The thing. So let's try to run one more time, and this time you can see it is giving me a Mr. Right? Let's say yes. And you can see Mr. ground dot swift because we have defined the length as 2 and I'm saying just pick the title which is at the index 1. So index 1 you can see it is Mr. Right? Let's change to 2. Save it and apply one more time and say yes. So here it is has replaced to Mr. to Mrs. You can see force replacement. And this time Mrs. and some other random two string name. So that's how that you can define the list variables, right? Let's take one more example, okay? What I will do is I will just create one more, let's say, resource. Okay, let's create local file only, okay? Local file, and I will just say map uh, file 5, okay? File 5, I am giving the logical name to my resource, and then I am gonna create the file name equal to, let's copy this path. Okay, here it is. Take this path, go there, define, and let's say map file, okay? So that we have the unique file instead of this, right? And here I'm gonna define the content, right? So content will be, I will just explain you like how the map type is, right? Because with the map, what you can do is you can give a multiple statement to your default values, right? And whatever the value you want to create, right? That you can say. Okay, let's say map underscore where is the variable we're gonna define. As of now, we haven't defined, right? And I would say go for the statement one. Fine. Now we need to define in the variable. So here I would say variable, right? The name of the variable we have given as a map underscore where, right? So I am giving map underscore where, and here I am gonna define the type equal to map, and the default value will be coming as a multiple statement because we are using a map variable type here, right? So let's define statement 1 equal to uh, I am from statement 1. Fine. Let's define one more statement so that we can make a difference between this. Statement 2 equal to I am from statement 2. Fine. So let's run it and then I will explain you how that value will be gonna pick. So here you can see what it is doing is like everything was up to date, right? Like whatever we have defined, everything is desired state and the required state is matching. Only the new thing is that there is a new object or resource was defined file 5. And with this resource, what we are doing is we are creating a new file called map file under .txt, right? And the content will be which I am passing. I'm saying go to the variable called map where and pick the statement one, and statement one we have defined as I am a statement one, right? Let's say yes, and here you can see we have a new file created I am statement one, right? Because this is the statement and it is a map variable, so automatically it will pick, okay, this is the we are referencing to this statement, right? Let's do one thing, change it to statement 2 and save it and come to the map.file and let's apply auto approve. The moment you see it is statement 2 now, right? Again, it has replaced from statement 1 to statement 2. So this is how that you can define, right? Same way with number also you can define the length, right? Whichever you have seen here in this variable. If you want to define as a number, then you can pass that number as this much, right? Let's see that as well. So if you see here, we are defining this length as a hard code. Instead of this, let's say variable, let's say len, okay? And I would say type equal to number and that value is length, right? So I would say length equal to 3. Fine. So this is how, no, it is default, right? Here it will not come. Default equal to 3 because we gonna refer that length to the var length, right? Now come here and instead of 2, just pass that var len as a function, right? Now let's apply this. And here you can see now what happened. 2, 2, 3, 4's replacement, because earlier what we were doing is we were hard coding as a 2, right? Now we are passing it as a variable with the number as a type, right? And I'm saying that pick the 3 length. So you can see that it has generated a 3 random strings, right? So that's how that you can define. We have seen that default is the string, right? If you don't pass anything, it will gonna prompt at the command line. You can pass it as a list where you can define the indexing. You can refer which index number you want to have in your statement. You can pass it as a number. You can pass it as a map, right? Where you just refer your particular statement. So this is how that you can define your different types of variable. One more thing what I have done is I have created one .txt file, right? Where I have tried to explain that, okay, what we have discussed in these two video where we have started this variable, right? So you can refer this because we are just going to push it to our GitHub repo, and from there you can get it, right? So here you can see that this is the value. We have defined these variable in this files. You can also define as an environment value, right? If you want to do tf_var and give that variable name whatever you are, and then let's export it, and once you apply it will gonna consume it, right? And this is the precedence, guys, which we have already seen, right? Let me give this as well, copy, and I'm gonna paste this value here, right? So this is how that the precedence will work, right? So this was the stuff, and let's quickly we are in there. So here we have seen that we have so many updates. So I will just add all files and I will say git commit hyphen m just for the message, and added variables class and nodes. Fine. And let's push it. So it will gonna push all the code to our GitHub repo, which is you can find that repo link in our description, right? Here you can see. Let me refresh this. And here you can see we have all the files and variables, everything is there. You can refer and you can follow along with me to get your hand dirty to understand more on these variables, right? Because this is the basic thing, guys. If you are not clear with this, right? So going forward, maybe we have slight difficulty to understand the code because it is just a basic code. We are just playing with the local file or the random provider, right? But the target is we gonna start our AWS provider as a AWS, right? So where we will deploy our infra as a real time in the AWS cloud, where we'll see how you can play with your EC2 instance, how you can play with your S3 bucket, or maybe some more, right? And with that .tf state, how you can just manage that state file as well, right? Because it is not good idea to keep it on subversions, right? So yeah, that was the quick video with the some bonus information of the variables, and that's it. So uh, we'll start our video with the next topic, and till then, please go through all the videos, right? Because it is the so far we have just discussed the basic stuff. It is not so much high, right? All right, so I'll take a leave for now, and we'll meet you in the next video. Till then, bye bye. Please like and share these content with the needy people, right? So that we can learn together. All right. Thank you, guys. Bye bye.